Have you ever heard of the Land Back movement? It's more than just a hashtag. It's a powerful call for justice that's reshaping North America. Today, we're diving deep into the story of Indigenous land rights and sovereignty, a movement that's not just about reclaiming territory, but about restoring dignity, culture, and self-determination. For centuries, Native nations across the continent have faced a relentless history of broken treaties, forced removals, and policies designed to erase their autonomy. Lands that were promised to them were taken, their governments were weakened, and their connection to ancestral territories was severed. But that history of injustice is being challenged right now by one of the most important movements of our time. At the heart of this struggle is the concept of sovereignty. This isn't just a symbolic idea. Sovereignty means that Native nations are living, breathing political entities, just like any other country. They have the inherent right to govern themselves, manage their own resources, protect their sacred sites, and make decisions for their people without outside interference. It's about recognizing that these nations existed long before the United States or Canada were even formed, and that their right to self-govern was never legally extinguished. So, what does this look like in practice? All across the country, tribes are actively rebuilding and strengthening their own institutions. They are establishing their own court systems, running their own conservation programs, and creating their own laws based on ancestral principles. They are not asking for permission. They are asserting their rights. Take, for example, the management of natural resources. For generations, state and federal agencies made decisions about forests, waterways, and wildlife on indigenous lands without tribal consent, often leading to environmental damage. Now, nations are pushing back. They're negotiating with governments to co-manage these resources or, in some cases, regain full authority. They are bringing traditional ecological knowledge, a deep, time-tested understanding of the environment back to the forefront of conservation. This isn't just good for tribes. It's a more sustainable and holistic way to care for the planet. Legal battles have been a crucial part of this momentum. You might think of treaties as dusty old documents, but in the eyes of the law, many are still valid contracts. Landmark court cases involving nations like the Navajo Nation, the Cherokee Nation, and the Muscogee Creek Nation have forced modern courts to confront America's history and uphold long-ignored treaty obligations. One of the most significant recent victories was the 2020 Supreme Court case, McGirt v. Oklahoma. The court affirmed that a huge portion of eastern Oklahoma remains Muscogee Creek Nation reservation land. This decision didn't mean non-native people had to leave their homes, but it did re-establish the tribe's criminal jurisdiction over its citizens within those historical boundaries. It was a monumental affirmation of tribal sovereignty and sent shockwaves through the legal and political landscape, reminding everyone that treaties matter. These legal wins have real-world consequences. They open the door for new economic opportunities, allowing tribes to generate revenue from their lands in ways that align with their values. They fuel cultural revival as communities reconnect with sacred places and traditional practices that were once suppressed, and they empower tribes to protect their environment from threats. However, the fight is far from over. Many indigenous communities are still on the front lines, battling powerful corporate and political interests. Think of the Standing Rock Sioux tribe's fight against the Dakota Access Pipeline, which threatened their water supply and sacred burial grounds. This became a global symbol of the clash between resource extraction and indigenous rights. Similar struggles are happening across the continent against mining projects, pipelines, and industrial developments that pose a direct threat to the health of the land and the people. On top of that, there are ongoing challenges with disputed borders and policy systems that are still slow to fully recognize and respect tribal authority. It's a constant uphill battle fought in courtrooms, at state capitals, and on the land itself. But what's truly remarkable is the energy and innovation being brought to this movement by a new generation of indigenous activists. Using social media, art, and community organizing, Young leaders are raising public awareness on a global scale. They're not just talking to politicians, they're talking to you and me. They are masterful storytellers, educators, and organizers, building solidarity across different cultures and backgrounds. They're making it clear that Indigenous rights are not just a native issue. They are a human rights issue. And they are an environmental issue. The conversation is no longer confined to historical grievances. It's about the future. Who gets to decide how we protect our water? Who gets to determine the fate of our last wild places? How do we ensure cultural heritage survives for generations to come? The resurgence of Indigenous sovereignty offers powerful lessons for all of us. In a world grappling with climate change, biodiversity loss, and social division, the principles of Indigenous stewardship present a hopeful path forward. It's a vision of governance that is rooted in community, respect for the earth, and a long-term perspective that spans 7 generations and beyond. When we support Indigenous sovereignty, we're not just correcting a historical wrong. We're investing in a more just, sustainable, and resilient future for everyone. The Land Back movement isn't about erasing one group to benefit another. It's about building a future where all people and the land itself can thrive together. So the next time you hear about a treaty rights case or see a protest against a new pipeline, remember the bigger picture. It's part of a global movement for self-determination and a healthier planet. This is a story that is still being written, and it's one we all have a part to play in. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this video insightful, please hit that like button. Subscribe to our channel for more deep dives and share this video to help spread awareness. See you next time.